All right, Andrea, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Welcome, welcome. Why don't we start with just telling us, obviously I read your bio, but tell us a little about, who you are and how you got doing what you do right now.
Okay, yeah. Well, thanks for having me, Lori.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am Andrea Anderson, and I'm a health and emotional wellness coach, a speaker,
Mhm.
and an author. And I support women, primarily moms, who experience anxiety and stress, and they want to learn to shift and feel more at peace, even in the midst of the chaos. So
Mhm.
that's the short of it. Yeah, so
Mhm.
I'll stop right there.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking, yeah, what an emotional wellness coach. I like that. And maybe you'll dive more into that. But yeah, what is you hear, or at least I hear a lot about health coaches, but not necessarily emotional wellness coaching. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, yeah. So here's the deal. I think what I'll do is I'll just tell you a little bit about in terms of where I came from and how I got
Okay.
into coaching.
Hmm.
Because emotional wellness is all wrapped up in that. Like my journey,
Got it.
let's learn about health to help myself and my family because
Hmm.
we had a need in our family. And then
Hmm.
it became, oh, emotional wellness is also a huge piece of this. We need to intertwine the two.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm the mom of two boys, one who has gone to college in Hawaii and is now he started a digital business with some buddies and is now traveling
Wow.
Asia and is having a great time. So I love, like, if there's one thing I really love about him and what's going on for him, it's the fact that I helped to put out there as he was growing up. And I won't say instilled in him because he chose this. The idea
Hmm.
of follow your heart, follow your heart, follow your heart. And I'm just doing like a mild little tangent here just because it.
Yeah. No, you're good. I love it.
So the deal is, yes, I just kept saying all through the years, follow your heart, follow your heart. When he's like, Mom, I'm like, just check in, see what feels right. And
Yeah.
he'd do that, he'd do that. And it was really easy when he was doing things that I loved. I was like, oh, cool, he's doing this great thing. And then when he
Mm.
would do things that I didn't like, it was like, oh my God, he's following his heart. Okay, take a deep breath. So anyhow, I feel really good. He's in a great place and he's really happy. And so that's what feels so good. And for me with that. And then the other component here, or the other person, is my younger son who's in high school. He's a senior in high school.
Mhm.
And he's also doing really well. And the reason I bring both my sons up is because when they were younger, they experienced a variety of different special needs that were associated at the time with ADHD and autism. And
Mhm.
my journey became all about helping them to improve and to clear. Like people around me thought, that doesn't happen. You don't shift
Yeah,
someone with a
it's
word.
just
And I thought, I don't care. That's what I want. And I just was on a mission to do the best I could to help them in the best
mhm.
ways possible. So that was a long journey. And it wasn't a week, it wasn't a month, it was years. And it was a
Mhm.
matter of like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back.
Mhm.
And eventually we started to see that progress. And the thing there was that even though they were starting to get a little better and a little better and then even more better, it was a situation where there was still a whole lot of chaos in our house. I mean, a
Mhm.
whole lot of chaos. So it was like something might happen with my boys. One of them might have a fit or something else entirely different, but just something that prompted like chaos, like an issue in our house. And then
Mhm.
either my husband would react or I would react. I'd like to think that he reacted more, but I certainly had a number of times where I was like, ah, so I
Mm.
can't really put it all on him. And then we'd argue over who had the better way to parent, right? Like if
Yeah.
we couldn't get our kids to do what we wanted them to do, it was like, I told you, no, I told you, you should. Da, 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 da. And so that just really pretty much added to. I hope you don't mind swears, but it added to the.
Oh, go for it.
All right, okay.
Mhm.
So it just added to the shit show in our home.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
I was doing everything in my power to make sure my boys got better, that I wasn't paying attention to the dollars. And I was like, okay, we'll do this, ka-chang, we'll do this, ka-chang. And my husband's like, oh, okay, one or two is good, but now you're up to this. And it's like, so that added to things.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of chaos, right? And so,
Mhm.
and this is really putting it mildly, and there were a lot of great moments, but I felt like we had the scale was not 50-50. It was more than, we had, I don't know what the percentage was, but it was much lower on the side of peace and harmony and much higher on the side of
Mm.
chaos. And I would find myself, and I'm doing this because my bathroom's around back that way. It's like I'd find myself on the bathroom floor it's not funny, but crying over and
Yeah.
over, wondering, will things ever get better? Will my
Mhm.
boys ever really fully improve? Will my
Mhm.
husband and I get along? Can we stay married with all this chaos?
Yeah.
Um, and then it was also, how did I get here? Like, I never expected to have this sort of life. I never expected to have a life
Mhm.
that felt so shitty in so many ways. And I
Mhm.
thought, I didn't deserve this. Like, I always thought I'd have this really peaceful, great life. I'm a good person, yada, yada. And I'd pick myself up off the bathroom floor. I'd look in the mirror, and I did this so many times, and I'd see this red contorted face. And I would be asking myself these questions like, why me? How could I, da, 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 da. And at some point in the midst of all that, I decided to shift. I decided that I just wanted to start to feel better. I just wanted to
Mhm.
start to feel good. And I didn't know how, I didn't know what was possible. I just knew I wanted to feel better.
Mhm.
So at the time, I had been working with a mentor. And I had also learned through helping my sons, I learned a lot of strategies, I learned a lot of tools, I learned about shifting myself through food and shifting them through food. So it's like, okay, it's time to like turn it here and see what I can do for me. And I
Mhm.
got to the point where I was able to, we could be traveling in the car together. And one kid might say something or do something, and the other kid might react. And then maybe my husband might get mad at them and I might tell him to relax, or I might get mad at them and he would say something to me. And anyhow, we'd have chaos in the car, right?
Mhm.
And, and even in the midst of that, which I fell into all the drama for so many years and so many times, but I started to like catch myself and then decide to shift my energy. And I do a couple things. And one of the things I did was I'd first just sit and decide that everything was going to work out for me
Mhm.
and everything was going to be okay. And then I put on music, and I put
Mhm.
music, something that was upbeat that helped me to feel really good.
Yeah.
I would pay attention to the words of the song and I'd get into the music. And I'd
Mhm.
start to like embody the music instead of what had just happened in the car. And it was
Yeah.
my energy. And eventually over time, I learned also how to do like a body check-in first and some other tools. But all I did
Mhm.
in the beginning was just tell myself it's going to be okay, settle myself just a little bit, listen to some music. Then I would listen to another song and really get into the music. So now my energy is really shifting. I'm not
Mhm.
towards me, oh my God, or this or that. Like what happened is already starting to dwindle away. It's not an issue anymore. And
Mhm.
then I would get really clear before we arrived wherever we're going. I'm going to have a really good time. I'm going to connect deeply with everybody who's there. Everybody I
Mhm.
talk to, it's going to be a genuine, comfortable, deep conversation somehow. We'll go
Mhm.
there. I just decided what it was going to be. And I also decided to let it all go with my family, that it was okay. They were okay. We were okay. Instead of
Wow.
"We did this and I need to fix that and we should this and I need to, I let it go. And when I did that enough, I shifted and started to show up differently. And
Mhm.
little things start to shift here and there in my family as a result. But I got to figure out that I was in control of feeling at peace and shift
Mm.
myself when I wanted to versus succumb and then drown myself in the drama and feel that.
Mhm.
So it was a shift. And then over time, I learned, oh, there's these foods I can bring in to help settle my nervous system, just as I was helping my sons with all the different things. Mindset stuff I continued with, I went further with, and then lifestyle habits that you can shift. And so that's actually what I do now.
Mhm.
And in moms is learn what tools, bless you, bless you, what silent sneeze.
Well, I muted myself.
Totally get it. Get to see the motion. So
Yeah.
anyhow, yeah, but so that's what happened. So that's what I do with women now is based on where they're at, we figure out what's going to work for them, what tools work for them, which ones don't. So we bring those,
Mhm.
what foods that they can eat more of that they like, that they don't have to suffer through, because that we don't need that. We need to love what we're eating, but just
Yeah.
gently blend it into what we eat so we can feel better. A lot
Mhm.
of women actually also find they become more fit or lose some weight because some of the things you bring in help you to be
Mhm.
healthier, and not only in your brain, but also in your body. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah. So, and then lifestyle things, we just do some tweaks here and there. Again, it's all about where you're at and what you're willing to bring on. If it's too much, we kind of tweak it accordingly. But little shifts, as we both know, go a long way.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, wow. I mean, you summed up like years of transformation in, a few minutes but I mean, gosh, how amazing. Do you mind talking a little, just if there are, I'm just thinking if there are women listening who may have children who, they're like, I will say for us, both my husband and I were very active children.
Mhm.
And our son is like, we were at a birthday party and this guy said to me, and I was like, that's spot on. And we keep repeating it like jokingly, but he said about my son, he said, he's all gas, isn't he? Like he's all gas
Yeah,
pedal. There's no brake. It's all gas pedal. And I was like, that is 100% my son. And my husband and I have kind of said, we're afraid somewhere down the line in school, somebody's going to tell us, oh, he's hyperactive, he needs medication, for maybe, if you don't mind sharing, what were things going on with your sons that were, that are different now and what that looked like. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of differences. Well, my older son, when he was younger, he was also a lot of gas too. So I completely relate and understand
Mhm.
that. I mean, he was the kid that was, I'm trying to like do laundry and he's like not even two, and he's climbing up the washer and standing on top of it and jumping off it. And I'm like, oh my God, just
Yes.
I can't keep track of them. And I'm like, where are you going?
Yes.
Slow down.
Like in 5 minutes, how have you destroyed so much stuff in like five? We just got home and you've already like done this and then done this, and I'm going to clean up this and you're already over here. And
Totally, totally, without a doubt. And some of those things we want to help them to settle and kind of be able to just settle themselves at times when just so they can kind of be more present too. But at the
Mhm.
same time, that they're going to find ways to use, and I know you probably know this, that energy to like channel it in the right places.
Mhm.
And you're right, at school there will probably be a time, especially if they go to a more traditional school where they have to sit for long periods of time and do things in a structured way. He
Mhm.
might not always fit that structure, but I will say to you and any other moms, and I'll get back to your question in a moment, but I just wanted to
Mhm.
say this for you and any other moms who confront that. It's a situation where your child's not wrong or bad, which I know you know that, but
Mhm.
they need different sort of support to be able to thrive. And so they
Mhm.
need teachers and people to understand that they just need to move. They're not wrong. They're not bad.
Yeah.
This is how they think. What about people who stand when they speak and they work at their desks? And what about, I mean, there's so many ways that they can be
Mhm.
supported without making them feel like they're wrong or bad. But it gets
Yeah.
tricky when you have a structured environment and now they
Mhm.
want everybody to fit into that environment. And everybody doesn't.
Exactly.
Everybody
Mhm.
doesn't. So but in terms of, so hyperactivity was there and that started to settle. Physicality was there too. And
Mhm.
that started to settle.
Mhm.
That was the hardest one for me
Like
because
like fighting with
with
each
each other
other or with, okay. Mhm.
get some too. And that was,
Mhm. Yeah,
oh,
my
yeah,
son
right?
throws a lot, or like
Yep.
I'm like, when are we gonna get past the stage where you stop throwing everything?
Right, right. I know my younger son, he used to have a Spider-Man, but he didn't hold it and play with it. He tossed it up in the air all the time. I was like, all right, dude. It
Uh,
was just what he did. And so some of those things settle on their own. And some of them, we have a need for them to be a certain way, and,
mm,
and they're not that.
yeah,
It's okay. And
they're
the
their own
moment we
person.
accept that. So there's a piece of helping them with some of these behaviors, and there's another piece of accepting it along the way and how they are, right?
Yeah.
So it's a combo, and it took me longer to accept. I did, but it took me longer
Mhm.
because I was like, no, we gotta be like I was when I was little. I like followed and I listened and I did all the things, so let's do that for you too. And
Yeah.
no, I didn't get that gift in my life.
Mhm.
I got a different gift. Mine was to, honestly, Lori, mine was to meet all my like inner fears and worries, because if you have kids that don't fit in the box, you get
Mhm.
to have parents and teachers who are trying to tell you different things about them. And
Mhm.
the reflection that we all make is that we're not good enough and they're not good enough. We just
Mhm.
do, whether we want to admit it or not. That's what I did. And I was like, oh, this is right in my face. right
Mhm.
there. So I can either say, it's okay and move past it and stop worrying what they all thought,
Mhm.
or keep like succumbing to it and shrinking. And I did both, but after a while, I started to rise up more and just make my way through the sea of judgment. Right.
Mhm.
So that really helped me as much as I didn't want to be helped in that area. I just wanted to fit in and blend in, but I wasn't given that gift. I got
Yeah.
a stronger, better gift, right?
Yeah.
Learning how to stand up for myself, learning how to be okay with myself and them. And while others might be like, oh my God, they're doing that and she's letting them do that, I was just like, yep.
Mhm.
It took a while to get there though.
Yeah.
But when you
Yeah.
do, it feels really good because you're sincere when you're like, yep. And you see
Mm.
it in a different way because you're looking at them going, you're seeing them with acceptance versus trying to fit in boxes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
I'm curious, there's probably some work of accepting yourself,
yes,
and then so that you can accept your children.
that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Mhm.
And part of the way I started to accept myself, I mean, there were many ways, but one of the ways was to actually just to decide that my sons were okay and to put my time and attention into them. Like, so for instance, if they didn't have a play date or something, because people are saying no, thank you, or whatever, I was like, okay, it's all right if nobody's interested in being with them right now. I'm going to show up and we're going to go to the playground and we're going to play and they can do their thing and then I'll interact with it. We're going to do our thing. And
Mhm.
there was a little twinge for a while, like, oh no, this is horrible. And then eventually it was like, fuck that, we're okay. You know,
Mhm.
we'll do this, we'll do this. And eventually, when you start to stop worrying, when you let go of we need to have it this way for them to be okay and me to be okay, the people will that are accepting come into your world. And
Mhm.
those are the people that you feel more, you connect more deeply with anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it shifts. And then you start to learn more of who you are and what you deserve to have in your life versus all the people you were trying to have them fit in with and you fit in with that. It just didn't
Mhm.
matter as much. Right. It was,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot there. So I'll leave it kind of,
Gosh, I know. I was like, we've unpacked so much in
yeah.
a very short amount of time. This is, yeah, such a great conversation. So, well, to bring it back to burnout. So what did you touched on some, just like the, being in the bathroom and
Mhm.
tears, and what was maybe what were signs to you that you were seeing in yourself that, like, okay, I can't keep going like this?
Yeah.
And maybe what was there a moment, or was there something where you did choose to make that shift? Like, or was it just kind of like, okay, I can't keep, was it, like, for some people, I think that sometimes there's like this one moment and everything changed, but
Totally, yeah. I didn't have the one moment, but as far as the signs go,
Mhm.
I had so many signs that in my life, I feel like as women, we're taught to, just push through, you can do it.
Mhm.
And if you do that, you can be successful. And as you start to see signs, like if you ever worked in corporate or in some other, whatever world you worked in maybe before, it's like we get reinforced for like, you go to work sick. Oh my God, I didn't take any
Yes.
sick days, excuse me, this year. Oh, how
Yeah.
great am I? Oh, great. Like you spread the
Mhm.
germs at work and you felt like crap. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
we honor ourselves for these things, but it's not really a badge of honor that we get. We start to shrink inside.
Yeah.
We start to feel bad because we're learning to not listen to ourselves, or we have learned to not listen to ourselves. So it's
Yes.
a relearning to listen to yourself. And my signs were I would get tired. I would cry easily. I'd get
Mhm.
frustrated easily. And when I had kids, it was like, that was like, tenfold. And then I didn't like when I was yelling at my kids. Like
Mm.
yelling shows me I'm burnt out and I'm not
Yeah.
listening to myself.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's a big one.
Yeah.
And then when I would cry and feel bad for myself and think for me, that was also another sign. Like, because I was
Mhm.
in control, but I didn't think I was.
Mhm.
I was in charge of me, but I didn't feel like I was.
Yeah.
That's a sign of burnout.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I totally agree. I can 100% relate with that, of like that badge of honor of like, don't take any breaks. Keep soldiering on. And even too, I can think of times in my life where I saw people taking breaks and I like I remember in school, girls like not coming into school, like if they were, first day of their period or something, like heavy period maybe, and like taking a break, like not coming to school or something, or like their job or not showing up. It's like, are you kidding me? Just suck it up, because that's just how I was raised, and I had I started getting migraines when I was in my in college. I was probably 20 or so when I started. And so it just kind of, I just work through my migraines. It's just because I've had them, and not that's just what you do. And if you do take breaks, then I'm going to judge you for taking breaks. And
you're weak. You're not, you can't do that. Like, what's your problem?
Exactly.
Oh, without a doubt. Same
Exactly.
thing. I was brought up like, you only don't go to school or to work if you have a high fever. Otherwise, you go, you show up.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Well, and I like how I was going to ask you about, you said a couple times you said, I decided. I love how you said that, of it really was like you were saying you were in control, but didn't realize it. And then really making a decision. I love that, because I think, we can get stuck in the outsourcing our power, and when my kids are like this, or when this situation is like this, then I will be okay, rather than deciding. I love how you said when you're in the car and you're going to be okay. Your family's going to be okay. You're going to go to this event. And I love that. How did you come to that place where you're like, no, I'm making a decision? And was that through kind of some coaching or?
Well, I think part of it was I had been doing some mentoring. I was being mentored around that time, and they weren't even really mentoring me on that, but I was getting enough of an edge in different ways to start to bring other ideas into my life. And with so many tools and different techniques and things I had used with my boys, all of a sudden I had the urge to feel better. I actually it wasn't the urge I had to get away from the shit, honestly, even though there's plenty of it to motivate me. It was the urge of the opposite, to just feel good, to start to feel better. That's what motivated me. And I feel like if we're motivated by the more positive, it's sometimes because it becomes an easier journey than if we just are motivated by trying to pull up out of the shit.
Let me get out of this versus let me move.
And they're both good motivators. Either one's fine. You're going to make a difference either way. But for me, it was interesting. I just turned a little to, wait, I want to start to feel better. I want to feel better. Like, I don't want to go to this party and all these things, just, feel like annoyed with my husband, annoyed with my kids. It's like, because I had done that enough. It's like, no, I want to feel good. And that really, really helped. And then just simply trying to look throughout my day, like, how can I feel better right now? How can I feel better? And I did it in little ways, but it started to create really nice shifts. But the best one was when I would be in the midst of chaos and just be like, nope, I'm not doing this. I'm clearing this. I learned all sorts of tools. Like, you would see me over in the corner of the house talking to myself, but it was like, damn it, I'm clearing this. I want better.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Do you do any tapping? You use tapping?
I do, actually. I didn't back then, but
I was like tapping in the car one day. My husband's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I just need to
totally.
Leave me alone. I just need to shift out of this.
Yep. You have to do what you have to do. And then they think it's funky or whatever they think. But the deal is, at some point, one of them or some of them might ask you about it and bring it on.
I was going to say, or your kid, my kid is at the age where he's mimicking so much. Which is such a mirror reflection back, and I'm like, oh gosh, okay, let's stop doing that. That's not working. And I want to go to that shifting, because so you and I connected through Heather Chauvin was a mutual connection, and she was actually the first one that I heard talk about something like that, of shifting your energy and really just I can choose to feel differently than I feel now. I don't. It doesn't seem like such a wild and crazy concept, but I just remember hearing her say that, and I was like, holy shit, I've never just thought about I can literally choose because I'm a 10, like if you look at emotional guidance scale, I'm a 10. Like my default is frustration.
Yeah.
Frustration.
Yep.
And so I really have to choose, to shift sometimes and get out of that default frustration mode and shift my energy. But I like how you talked about like using music, and what are some other tools you use or you recommend is it kind of person dependent?
Well, it's really what appeals to us, right? Because there's a lot of
Yeah.
tools out there, but yeah, so music is huge. And not only would I use it to shift my energy in circumstances like I mentioned before with the car ride, but I started to do this thing where I'd listen to music in my house, like in the kitchen while I was making dinner or doing
Yeah.
dishes. And I turn the music up loud and
Yeah.
I put on, has to be, well, it doesn't have to be, but it's really helpful if it's upbeat music because that's the whole point. You want to feel good. You can put on heavy music, but notice how you feel when you're done with heavy music. You're not really going to feel a lot better. So you go for the upbeat and you really listen to the song. Like you take the thoughts you're having that you're ruminating over or whatever it was, you just like set it aside and you listen to the song. That's part of the thing. And then I do what I call kitchen dancing. It's really just improv dance. And I dance like crazy town. And I start to get really good at this. Like my boys know me as a dancer because they watched me through the years dance all through the house, dance in the car. Like it's really contagious. And like you pop in the car, you put on music, you turn it up loud, you put the windows down if it's nice enough, and you just get into the energy of the song. And I'll dance while I'm driving. So I get people laughing at me, which I just love. Like it's a whole energy shifter. And then you show up to the grocery store and you're not frazzled. You're like, okay, let's go. Like it was like you're at a dance party for a while because you were at a dance party for a while. Like it's fantastic. So music and movement, body movement like that is an energy shifter. It shifts you mentally and physically. So something else I do now, I didn't do back then, but I have a rebounder now. Do you know what a rebounder is? A little mini.
A little trampoline.
Yeah, like just the other day, I was about to do a podcast with somebody and I had like 10, 15 minutes and I was feeling like tired. I'm like, oh, this is not so good. So I like hopped on the rebounder and I put on same thing, just 2 songs and bounced and listened and got into it. And I was done. I was like, yes, here we go. We're going to have an awesome time talking, in this podcast.
Yeah.
It went, it felt really good and all the things. So it shifts. It really shifts.
Yeah.
It's like you start to take your power back. Instead of giving it away to the people and the things and the circumstances that have happened around you and making them at fault and making them seem like the things that drained you. It's like we can just choose. No, they actually didn't drain us. We allowed ourselves to be drained because nobody really, that's a whole nother conversation. But
I love that.
Yeah. So we just chose to say, wait a minute, I want to feel better. And we don't even have to go through all the analyzing. The thought is, I'd like to feel better. What can I do? And then you do that. So that's another thing. I feel like I have more like mindset tools where I do like some journaling. And one of the questions, I actually do it out loud all the time now because I've just gotten so comfortable with it. And it's a question of, how is this okay? So when there's a situation that you're struggling with and you're bothered with, if you simply ask the question, how is this okay? And you ask it over and over and over. So you don't ask once. And in the beginning, I'd suggest writing it down. So something happens with one of your kids or your spouse and you're bothered, right? And you ask, how is this okay? Your brain's first going to tell you all the reasons why it's not okay. So, but you just push past it, you move through it and you find why it's okay. And you write it down or you say it out loud. And then you ask yourself the same question, how is this okay? And you write it down and you write it down and you keep asking it until you find the reason that brings you a little bit of relief or more relief. Because there's something in there. When we're bothered, annoyed, all of those things, we're actually in some level of fear, right? And when we're in that fear and we're blaming them or mad at them, we're not really seeing the whole picture. We have our blinders on and we're closed-minded and we're just seeing that circumstance, right? Or we're bringing in all the other times they did things just like that so we can compound it and be even madder at them. Same thing, we're still not seeing, we have the blinders on. When we start looking for reasons why it's okay, we start seeing them. Universe shows us. We open up our thinking a little. We open it up a lot. And then what happens is I do this. I'll do it while I'm driving. It's like, oh, okay, how is this okay? Sometimes it takes me a while to find it. But I know because I just found some level of relief within myself. And it's like I saw more of the truth versus what I was afraid of or blameful of, right? So,
Mm,
and then when you do this enough, your brain starts to just do it naturally. Like you start to
yeah.
put something big, not really. It's not such a, or you do it
Mhm.
anyway, and then your brain tells you quickly, no, it's actually okay because of ABC, XYZ.
Yeah.
Great tool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. So you're kind of, when you're doing it, it's kind of like free writing. You should just be writing first thing that comes to mind and
Yep.
then
And
keep
you
going,
keep
keep
going
going,
till
keep
yeah,
going.
you're looking for
Mhm,
a shift, a feeling within you that feels a little better. Now you feel a little more settled. You feel a
mhm,
little bit more at peace because when we can learn to accept what
mhm,
we're most bothered with,
mhm.
we can it becomes less of a problem for us. And when it's
Yeah.
less of a problem for us, a couple things happen. A, we get to feel better, which is the whole point. B, we get to enjoy ourselves now that we feel better, our family, everything, all the things. And then C, we open up to seeing other ideas and possibilities for helping that situation that we were blinded to before because we were
Mhm,
so hell bent on it wasn't okay.
mhm.
Yeah. So it's a shift.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are such a teacher. I'm just sitting here like absorbing. I
Yeah.
feel so lucky. I'm just getting here to sit here and absorb all this information and the wealth of
Yeah.
knowledge you have. And you're
Oh, it's so
obviously just so passionate about this stuff too.
yeah, yeah. It's
So,
I've lived it. It's like you know how it is when you live something and you live some of the shifts and you're like, oh my
mm,
God, like now you get it. Like we can
mm,
read about something, we can go to school for it, and that's beautiful. And we become knowledgeable. But once we experience it and then we
yes.
know how to make it something else, it's a
Mhm.
whole nother thing. Yeah.
Yeah. What they say, experience is the best teacher, right? Mm.
Without a doubt. Yeah. I will
Mhm.
work with somebody who has shifted something hands down. Someone who's just gone to school for it. I now know love and blessings to you, but I'm going to go over here because
I think for all the female women entrepreneurs that are listening, that piece of information was so key there too. Cause I feel like, so if some, just being in spaces like that where I hear people kind of go, even as my background is medical and like hearing other practitioners go, well, I need this other certification and I need this other credential, I need this other title.
right.
But no, you need to start. And that's the best advice I got in business with, just start working with people, just start doing it. Don't, because
Yep.
then that in 100%. Now I'm like, tell people, just start taking action, just start taking action. You don't need more training, more school, all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So just to recap then, so that was, your background with your boys and then, just through, yeah, all those shifts you made over the years. So that is how you got to what you do now as what was it again? Health and emotional wellness
Mhm.
coach. And then tell us about and then you speak and you have one book or you have multiple books?
I have one book.
One
Yeah.
book. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about what you do now as a coach, a little bit more,
Okay.
what that looks like and about your book.
Sure. Yeah. So when I work with women, I'm first initially wanting to hear what's going on, right? Like what
Mhm.
is it they want to shift? What are their triggers? Um,
And what type, and they're women, you said in the beginning, who are just looking to feel better
Yeah. So
than they
it's
do right
basically
now.
moms who
Mhm.
feel anxiety and stress. Those
Mhm.
tend to exist in their life and sometimes at a very high level. Or sometimes it's a mom that's just feels like she's tired of allowing herself to function with anxiety and stress day in and day out, day in and day out, because now it's starting to impact her relationships. Now it's starting to impact her health. Or maybe it's impacting her parenting, right? Because that's what anxiety does. And
Mhm.
it's usually when something's breaking that we want to fix it, right? Like just some
Mhm.
anxiety. People are like, oh, fuck it, I can handle anxiety. But when it's impacting areas, now we
Yeah.
want to do something about it. And
Yeah.
that's really the thing. Like that impacts all those areas, right? We
Mhm.
know like it can be heavy duty. So um so someone will come to me usually with some area of their life feeling broken, excuse me,
Sure.
if not maybe all of them.
Mhm.
And so we go into looking at ways to shift the anxiety. And as I said before, we get into what does their diet look like? And
Mhm.
I'm not a sergeant. I'm not, I mean, I ate it all. I did it all. I get it. Like, so I don't have any judgment for wherever somebody's at. And I always meet somebody where they're at. So if they don't feel like they're the least bit healthy, that's okay. We just bring in little things to start to
Mhm.
make some shifts. And often, if their diet was really in line with a lot of junk food and all those things.
Yeah, a lot of processed
Just bringing
food.
in a little bit of like healthier food starts to make a difference because it was
Yeah.
so it can be helpful. And even if you were in the middle of the road or pretty healthy, there's still things you can do because sometimes we're eating
Mhm.
foods that are exacerbating anxious feelings for us and we don't even know it. So we can
Mhm.
look at that
Yes.
more closely. And so that can start to make a difference when we can eat foods that start to help to settle our central nervous system versus bring
Mhm.
more foods in that are like having us react more, right?
Sure,
That's not something
sure.
we want. Because we want to feel at peace. Like that was the thing. Like I want
Mhm.
to feel at peace. I want to feel good. I want to feel at peace. So we look for the things that they're willing to bring in, right? Because I'm not going to just say, do all these things. We do it slowly as well. And then once we feel like as we're getting the food finessed, and they're starting to see some nice differences in how they're feeling, maybe even how their body's feeling, even maybe their weight and so forth, that tends to shift too for people. And then we also look at mindset stuff. We look at specific
Mhm.
tools they can use to help themselves. And we get into, I have a whole strategy, and I don't know if I want to go through the whole thing here just for timing's sake, but it's called
Yeah.
What's Over. And it's an acronym. So every letter
Uh-huh.
in the word represents a key that I follow with clients. And
Mhm.
R is rewrite your reality. So it's a lot of
Mm.
future self stuff, deciding what you want and
Yeah.
going
That
there.
deciding again, that decision.
You have to decide. Like when I decided things would shift for my boys, which was like right in the beginning, that
Mhm.
was like started the momentum to create a difference,
Mhm.
Anything I have decided on in my life, and I've gotten really clear on that energy, it's like the universe conspires with us. Energy, our
Yes.
brain is looking for the answers and finding answers because we're on it now.
Mhm.
It's when we don't think we can make a decision and we're wallowing in all the crap happening and feeling like woe's me, that's when we feel stuck, when we feel
Mhm.
horrible. It's when we decide. And it's funny, but sometimes it can feel hard to make a decision. Like I was
Mhm.
there too with many things in my life, right? It's like
Yeah.
you have to decide, well, why am I not deciding? Right? Like that.
Yeah.
So if someone's there, that's not a problem. You'll move through it, but it just takes time. Sometimes we just aren't ready to decide, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the feeling that we're used to, like I said, my default emotion can be frustration,
Yeah.
and it can feel more comfortable for me to feel like that than to
Totally.
choose to feel better.
That's
It's
exactly. It's more work, right? It's more work
yeah.
to change that patterning that is so
Mhm.
more easily in there, right? Like the
Mhm.
brain patterns there. So I
Mhm.
get it. I've done that with plenty of things too.
Mhm.
So, and then I don't know, I mean, for the rest of the acronym, it's ERE. It's eat all natural, clean, real food, uh,
Mhm.
which is sort of self-explanatory. And then there's certain foods that will help you even more than others. So then that's
Mhm.
where we go as well. Um, S stands for simple daily body cleanse. It's
Mhm.
movement, like the basic things we can do to help our body do what it always does. It cleanses
Yeah.
itself all the time, but when we give it a little
Mhm.
boost, it helps it do its thing more easily and
Mhm.
a better way in a way. And that's movement, sleep, water, some of those basics that we forget about, but they're so instrumental, right?
Yes.
That's a
Yes.
movement. You put that in
Yeah.
there. If it's not in somebody's life, you're already going to start to be in a different energy, right? That really.
Mhm.
REST, T stands for thrive in all natural environments. That does not mean everything in your home has to be all natural, because mine is not certainly all natural. It just means that we start to look at some of the products we use, some of the things we use on our kids, some of the things that we're doing
Mhm.
um, that will help us feel more settled, because the more natural the things are that we use,
Mhm.
we're actually going to be able to feel better
Mhm.
as a result. Like it makes a difference, right? Like if it
Mhm.
comes from the earth, if it comes from plants and trees and so forth, it's actually going to work more synergistically with our bodies.
Mhm.
So there's that. Um, O is Om, learn it, which is really to follow your intuition, right? Like that's
Mhm.
a big one for us moms, right?
Yeah.
All of that. Everybody has it. It's not a
Mhm.
special thing given to certain people. It's what we all have. And it's really just tapping into our inner navigational system, the inner direction that shows us what's best for us and actually for our families too. We get cued in on.
Mhm.
And then R is respect yourself,
Mhm.
which I know
I
being
love that.
here, I know, and everybody in that realm, you guys get this. Respecting ourselves is so huge, and
Mhm.
how can we do that more? And I'm not getting into all of these pieces too much because there's so much there.
Oh, sure. So much to unpack. Yeah.
STOR, and then E is to establish alignment um, in the areas of our life. So there's key areas, and it's relationships, it's career / hobby. If someone doesn't work, it's still having a hobby, something that feeds them.
Brings a purpose, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's also money, like as much as we want to just forget it, it's like that's also a key area that impacts our emotional and physical health.
Yeah.
Spirituality. So when we can establish, and spirituality could just be a matter of, for some people, spending time in nature, right? Like
Mhm.
connecting in nature. Those are important areas that really impact our whole being and our family, all of it. And when we can start to establish alignment in those areas, which is a whole nother thing, we start to the gears are going, right? And if
Mhm.
an area or two are off, that's okay. It doesn't mean we still can't find alignment in other areas and then work toward that in the others.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. Wow. Then tell us then about, so those are your working with your clients. How about your book?
Oh yeah. So that had to do, it's basically helping to improve autism is what the book is about.
Ah, gotcha, gotcha.
And
Okay.
ADHD, like all special needs. And so that is really um I did that a lot through the years with women, helping them help their kids. And it's still
Mhm.
something I know how to do and can do, but where my focus is even more now is I need to help mom, because
Mhm.
she needs a lot of help and she keeps wanting to help her kids and forget herself. So
Yeah.
we need to go there.
Mhm.
And then if there's more we need to do somewhere else, we can go there. But this is what,
Yeah.
like, mom needs to be able to know she has to start with her,
Mhm.
shift there, and now we're already going to start to see shifts with the kids. And then once she
Yes.
does herself, she can actually, the smaller things, simple things, we can start to incorporate with the kids and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. I thought of that when you were sharing your story in the beginning of just how, like, yeah, moms want to fix everybody else, but when you start, like, just how much, it's amazing just how the power of a mother in her power and ability to shift things in her home and her family,
Oh yeah.
with starting with her rather than let me fix everybody else.
Oh yeah.
But if I can fix myself or work on myself, not that we need fixing, but yeah, aligning,
Yep.
then how much that impacts. It's like the downstream ripple effect from there.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you start to live it, you really get it. When you hear the words and you're not in that space, the typical response or reaction is, no, but I need to help them. If I can get them to be better, I'll feel okay. But there's
Mhm.
this piece of, they are separate human beings from us. So we don't know how much we're going to be able to help them. They have to be able to
Mhm.
receive that and be open to that and allow that healing
Mhm.
as well. Right. So there's that whole piece. So that's why it's important to go here, because we don't know what we're going to be able to do with them. We just have
Mhm.
to see what they're willing to support. Yeah.
Wow. And it's the whole living, leading by example, and your
Yes.
kids,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just picking up and learning what you teach them through what you do, not who you are, not necessarily what you tell them.
Oh, without a doubt. I have goosebumps on that one. It's so true. Like if mom is feeling good and empowered, like sincerely, right?
Mhm.
Like in the space of feeling good about herself,
Mhm.
that the way she interacts is completely different. And the way the kids respond is different.
Mhm.
And what they get to take in for how to show up as now in the here and now as a little kid and then as an adult is very different. Right.
Mhm.
Because otherwise you're going to see, oh, what I do is I create drama and then I wallow in my shit for a while. And I feel bad
Mhm.
for myself. Or they see, oh, I might have done that, but now I'm going to rise up and take care of business. Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So different. Yeah.
Wow. So good. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You're just, I love this conversation has been so great.
Sure. Yeah.
So tell us then, obviously people are going to want to connect with you and, see what you're doing, see how they can get involved with you. Tell us what you have going on and where people can find you.
Absolutely. So if you go to, it's Andrea Chapman Anderson. So I don't have.
We'll link it. We'll put it in the
Okay,
show
perfect.
notes so that
Oh,
they don't
thank
have to go searching for it. Yeah.
you. You have a link. So awesome. Yeah. So if you go to andrewchapmananderson.com, that's all my stuff. You can learn about me. And also I have monthly talks that I give. I typically give one in person, but I also do a live Zoom talk once a month. And for this month, it's on the 27th. And I won't say the month because, well, I could say April 27th, but this is evergreen, this podcast. So it'll be some other time in the following months.
The next
Go to
month,
my
yes.
website and click on events. You'll see when the next Zoom call is, and you can.
Perfect.
And those I do for free. So that's, people can just come in, and the topic is usually helping moms to feel at peace and learn at least 3 simple strategies that you can start to shift your anxiety and stress. That's what that's about. So it's always around, that type of topic so that people can help themselves and get value from that talk and actually apply what they learn right away if they want.
Yeah, I was gonna say, giving them strategies right then and there that they can use. That's amazing. That's amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This conversation I've just loved so much. I was sitting here taking notes while while I was listening to you. So
awesome. It's great to connect with you too, Lori. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here.
All right. Have a great day.